Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Lynn Life. I'm actually shooting this on New Year's Eve, 2024, and I'm reminiscing. I'm thinking back because that last video I did last week was about my GI Joes, about a wonderful gift my son had given me, and it got me thinking. And I have a bunch of old slides that were taken by my father, and there's two books of them, and they range from 1954 to 1978. And I've done some of them. I actually did a video about this a couple of years ago, but I decided I'm going to do it again because I want to encourage people to do this themselves, and I want to show them how easy it is to convert. And I'm going to show you some of the old slides that I've done today. These aren't slides that I've shown you before. These are totally new. There's some old pictures of myself and family members and other people and interesting places. So it's pretty cool. So we have a lot to go over. So let's get going.
My name is Jonathan, and I'm a caregiver for my wife Lynn, who has a permanent brain injury. Things are a bit different now, but we're doing the best that we can. Join us as we experience the Lynn Life.
So this is the time of year that you start reflecting on your past, since we just left 2024 behind and we're going into 2025, and you start thinking about your past, especially when you're a little bit older. You're thinking about things like that. And I remember that I have two books of slides that my father had taken. They range from 1954 to 1978. And I did do a video a couple of years ago about it, and I showed you some, but I have a lot that I haven't recorded. And I want to show you how you do that now, to encourage people to do that. It's so important to digitize these things so they can be shared with others. You could give these files to other family members, and they can archive them as well. And it's just very, very important, and it's not that hard to do. So I want to show you first, but I'm going to show you some of the old slides that I've taken today. These aren't slides that I've showed you before. They're some new ones, a lot of new ones. But this is the device I use. It's called a Kodak Scanza, and it's has a little USB powered cord here on it, and then you put your disc in the back, little mini disc like that. That's all. Everything gets recorded onto, and as a screen. So when you turn it on and you slide, there's a little slide holder here, and you put the slide. You could also record negatives as well. And slide it in and you see it on the screen. You can even make some adjustments, mainly brightness, contrast, things like that. And then you just hit this button, boom, and it is instantly recorded on a disc. And then the next step is, once you've done a number of slides, you pull your disc out, put it in your computer, create folders. So I have one big folder. It says old slides, or Dad's old slides, and then you click that, and I have all the years ranging from 1954 to 1978, and I put them in there. Now, if there are any descriptions about these pictures, my father, especially on the earlier slides, he'd actually write a description of who was in the picture, the year, etc. Other times, if there wasn't, there's usually a time stamp, or like the month and the year stamped on the slide when they were created, so I get an idea when the picture was taken, and I archive it, in folders that way, so they're easy to retrieve and find things. In fact, this year, before Christmas, I was contacted because one of my youngest sister's friends wanted to know if we had some old pictures of my family's home, because she wanted to do something for my sister Jennifer for Christmas, and she ended up actually doing a painting of that, um, of our old home, which was wonderful. And I was able to provide those pictures because I had archived all these old slides, and I gave her a number of them. Through my older sister, I sent her those first, and then she sent it on to the other girl, and that was a good thing to be able to do. So um, I like that people can depend on me for some of these pictures. So um, uh, Kodak Scanta. Here's the box. This is what I use, and there are other brands out there as well, and they aren't horribly expensive, and it's not difficult to do. So let's take a look at some of these old pictures. Some of them will be kind of funny. There's a lot of pictures of me, but first I'm going to start with some other, even older pictures. Okay, so let's begin. We'll start with this picture. This is a picture of my mother. This is 1954, long before I was born. And this is my parents' Renault, a little red car that they called Fifi. And apparently this was July 4th, 1954, because Fifi was in a parade. My father lettered it. It said AFD, Ashland Fire Department, and below it said Chief's Car. And because it was red, they decided it would be a good car to put in with the, have it in the parade with the fire department. So here it is, the Chief's Car, and I think that might be my grandfather. Wedged into that front seat. Look how tiny that little thing is. Ashland Fire Department Chief's Car, followed by a World War II era fire truck. Very cool. 1954. And then I came across this picture. These were all relatives. Was my grandfather there, my grandmother, my aunt. There was a cousin, uncle. Apparently, they were getting ready to go to my parents' wedding. That's what it says on the slide. So, very cool. And then this is my grandmother with Blue Girl, I guess. I think that was the name of it, the parakeet. Apparently, it talked. And my grandmother loved that bird. So there was a picture of her and her bird. Next is a picture of me in 1963 with a box. I always liked boxes. And this must have been, looks of it was in the spring, probably early spring of 1963. And then here's another picture, also a little later, May of 1960. It's a blurry one. Very, very blurry picture. This was, I believe, my birthday party. So it would have been my second birthday party with 3 neighborhood kids. And there is a picture of the 3 of them. Oh, here's another. Well, first of all, here's another clearer picture of me, same day, I believe. And then another picture of some of the neighborhood kids. Let's see. And I know who they are. That's in front of my parents' house. That the boy on the far right, that is Tommy Regan. These kids were all older than me. Then I believe that is Chris Farnham. Chrissy, we used to call him Chrissy Farnham. And then I think this is Tommy's sister, Teresa. She was just a little older than me. So they're all here. And I think there's one more picture. Oh, here's a picture of me, same year at a park, I guess, or a playground, running through those little sewer pipes or whatever they were. And so that was cool. That's 1963. I also want to mention that things were a lot different then when it came to photographing things. Um, Most all these pictures are outdoors. And because photographing things indoors was difficult early on, especially in the 60s, 50s, because you need a flash. And the flashes kind of stunk. And they would, if you were close enough, they would illuminate you enough so that you could be seen. But they weren't great. So most people just took pictures outdoors when it was a nice day, not at night, outdoors during the day. So that's how most of the pictures are archived. They're mostly outside during the day, where now you can photograph 24 hours a day, inside, outside, doesn't matter. Um, I'm doing it. I'm recording myself right now with very little light, really. So I'm able to do that, but you couldn't do it back then. But now on to some of these other pictures again. Let's. This is 1968, so we're moving ahead here. 1968. This is a Catskill game farm. It's my mother, myself, and my sister Sue being afraid of a sheep. And then here's another picture of Sue and I um, with the sheep. We used to. There are a lot of slides of the Catskill Game Farm. I'm not going to show them all to you, but throughout the years, from the 50s right on through, there's tons of slides from the Catskill Game Farm because we used to visit that a lot. We all enjoyed that a real lot. Here's a random picture of my sister and I. I'm not sure where we were. Some, I think it was a historic home of some sort, was there gardens out back of that. And then these were good pictures. They were important because I'm shucking corn with my two sisters, Jennifer and Sue. But this, the woman to my left, is my great aunt, my Aunt Ethel. And so here's another picture. And also notice too that I've almost a similar haircut now as I did back then. Of course, there was a little more of it up front, but I kept it cut short. And my hair was very blonde when I was young. But so those are precious images. I don't even remember that. And here's another one here. This is a picture of me at Rhinebeck. There was an aerodrome, or maybe it's still there, in Rhinebeck that I loved to visit, in Rhinebeck, New York. And I still remember the gentleman who owned it was Cole Palin, and he was a pilot, and he would fly a lot of these vintage planes. He'd have a plane show, a little aero, like a fun air show, where they would fly some of these vintage planes, and they'd have maybe a mock dog fight or something like that. And it was wonderful. So I was happy to come across this picture of myself and I in front of this. Probably I think it might be a sop. Yeah, I think it's a Sopwith camel. Um, and I liked that a lot. Up until 1971, we lived on Long Island, and my father worked in New York City as an art director. He was always an artist, a commercial artist, and they made the decision to move upstate, where he originally was from, as where he had grown up, and it was in the country, and I loved the country. Um, so I was all for that, although there were a lot of changes, big changes in order to do that, and this is one of the early pictures from that time, 1971, with my two sisters. And behind it is the car. That is a 1961 Sunbeam Alpine, my father's little sports car that he used to drive to commute. He used to drive that to the train station and then take the train to New York City. Um, but things kind of changed when we moved upstate. He didn't need that, and that car was already 10 years old, so he ended up trading it in. But I'm glad that we have at least a few pictures of that old car. I always liked it. It was just a two-seater, little sports car. A lot of fun. And here's another picture from the same day in front of the same car. But that's a dog. That's a little dog. That was my dog, Muttley. I call him Muttley. And he was a cute little guy. And here's another picture of Jennifer up on the hill with him. And I didn't even know if I had any pictures of Muttley, but there it is. And I'm glad I have them now. Another picture that I wasn't aware we had, and I'm glad it's here. It's from 1974, and this is my father at his his at work in his studio. He was always an artist. He ended up working at the college in Delhi, New York, and in instructional resources. And he'd do all kinds of graphic arts and graphic work, and he was also a photographer as well. And I don't know what he was working on here, but there he is. Okay, the next photograph is special because I believe it may be the very first photograph I've ever taken. And here it is. It's in Cape Cod. Of my family is my father and my two sisters and my mother. And danger, sliding cliff, keep back. So it's a picture of them over some sort of overlook in Cape Cod. And obviously I've taken the picture, so I'm not in the picture. And then this is a picture of me jumping in midair on a sand dune, and also in Cape Cod. And I remember my father taking that picture. And he probably took a few of them, but he was trying to capture it so it would he'd catch me in mid-flight. And then there's my sisters on the same sand dune. That was cool. And my mom and my sister Jennifer somewhere in Cape Cod. And that's neat. Now, this next one, this was special. I had no idea there was a picture of me on this. This is me and my go-kart. It was, I didn't actually own it. It belonged to an older gentleman down the road, Clark Way. And he had built it for his daughters. And they grew up. And he thought it would be something that I would enjoy using so I could ride in the parade. We had a little town, and we'd have little parades, and this was one of them. And I made a little trailer for it and put a little umbrella over my head, and I had a cardboard box which I painted, and it actually. The roof looks like it's kind of fallen down a little bit, but there was a sign on the other side, and it had a door, and it said, John's Portable John. That's what it said on it. It's like a little clown car. And an interesting thing about it, too, is it had a little shifter in the center. My right hand is on it, and it actually had forward and reverse. And I was kind of riding it right there because you had to start and stop a lot in a parade. So I was kind of riding it, and it allowed me to sort of, not run into the people ahead of me. But I'm really glad, and I showed it to my son. He got a kick out of it. I always loved motorized vehicles, still do today. And it was fun to be able to ride that in the parade. And I participated in that parade for several years, doing different things. And it was a good time. And then here's the more people participating in the parade. These young men here are friends of mine, and they would all do different things. Everybody wanted to drive something in the parade at that age. I had the go-kart, they had their garden tractors and stuff. And this is Scott Parsons. He was a good friend of mine. He had a little maple syrup business. and that's his little maple buckets and things like that. And um, that's pretty cool to have this as well. So glad that these exist. And then here's one for my sister Sue. I probably on her birthday. Birthday was in August, so I think what year did I say this was? Was this 1974 or 75? 1975. And these are her friends who she's still friends with. So that's really cool. And then here's another picture, I believe the same year, maybe a year later, 74 or 75, both my sisters going off to camp, probably Girl Scouts, I think. All right, moving ahead to 1976. 1976 was a special year because it was the 200th birthday for our nation. It was the bicentennial year. And our town Lavina, was having a town picnic and parade, July 24th. And here's some pictures of the parade. And I believe I know who these girls are. That's I believe that's the Burns girls. And they had a nice little float there. And that was cool. Now here's another picture of, I believe that was a drum and bugle corps from South Courtright. I believe that's what that is. And then we got, this was the Russell Store float or whatever you might call it on top of that old Model T truck. And that's Cecil Russell. I remember Cecil very well. And the store very, very well. It's an old coffee grinder right there in front of him. And that is just too cool that that exists. And this picture of me, this is out on the escarpment trail in the Catskills. I love to hike, and so did my father, so fortunately we got to do a lot of hiking. It's me and my goofy camouflage hat that I thought I was pretty cool with, and my Boy Scout backpack that I had. And yeah, that's a good picture. I should print that. That would be fun. And this is a picture of our two cats when I was a kid. That is, the orange one is Tigger, and the white one is Tilly. I remember Tilly was abandoned by her mother, and she was just a little teeny weeny little thing, way too young to be separated from her mother. And my mother nursed her, would feed her with an eyedropper. I remember that very well. There were a lot of little steps she went through to try. She had I think a stuffed animal in a little box with a clock underneath it or something, so it sounded like a heartbeat, and so that she could snuggle with. And she grew up to be an adult cat, very healthy. And the orange one was probably my favorite. His name was Tigger, and he was crazy. But I loved them. I loved them both. Oh, from the same year, here's another picture that I took of my father in the same place, all along that hiking trail. Here's a couple more random pictures from 1977. It's a picture of myself and my two sisters. I was in 77. I was now in high school, and notice how my hair got a lot longer, and I got taller and lankier. And then this slide here was, and there was a bunch of them. They were marked March 1977. Apparently there was a snowstorm, March 1977. When we got snow, we really got snow. And I had to shovel it. Wasn't fun. I still have to shovel it. Now that brings us to 1978. And I got a few more I'm going to show you. First one here is of my father in his photography studio at the college. And that's a neat lamp, that Kodak lamp. Kind of cool. And I can see slides up there on in the background there on a little viewer. You can see that. And then we're going to go to Christmas 1978. There's my sister Jennifer. I don't know what the heck's on her head. But it's opening up presents. And then there's my sister Sue doing the same in the Christmas tree. I wonder if I recognize or if any of those ornaments are now on my tree. Probably. I know some of them are. And so that's neat. I'm sure they're thrilled that I'm showing these to everybody. And there I am. Christmas 1978. And what the heck am I wearing? I think I'm wearing long johns and a sweatshirt. Because what the heck? And I loved Mad Magazine. I used to, so I'd probably gotten that in my stocking or something like that. My parents had given it to me at Christmas time. And then here is a picture of me at Christmas in my late 70s hairdo, same clothing, and opening up presents of the old television. And this picture is special, even though I don't look very thrilled about it right there, typical teenager. But next to me is my aunt Eleanor, and her daughter, my cousin, Mary Margaret. And both of them are no longer with us. So it's very special to see these pictures again. At Christmas time, Christmas 1978. And this last picture is special because it shows my father at work. He's actually photographing something at the college, something in a lab of some sort. But it's neat to see have a picture of him at work and in action, as I take a picture of me in action, So this has been fun. I hope I've encouraged some of you to start archiving pictures and dating them and giving little descriptions and putting them in folders and things like that. If not for you, but for your loved ones that you leave behind. And so they'll know what's going on. And my father did archive a lot of stuff, and there's a lot more to do besides slides. There's a lot more of others. There's actual photographs that all have to be scanned and archived, and I'm going to do that. I feel it's a responsibility I have to continue. So I hope you continue that. So thanks for watching, and really appreciate it, especially if you've made it this far in the video. And we'll see you next time on the Lynn Life.